Welcome back to the show, everybody. This is the Shankly Sessions. This is your Liverpool 2, Brighton 2 match reaction with my buddy from the Shankly Sessions, Dane. Dane, how are we doing, my man?
A crazy weekend has taken its toll, let's say.
Absolutely. Well, we are going to be doing an on the road with the Shankly Sessions during the week where we'll show you everything we got up to. Well, nearly everything, but more or less everything that we got up to. But tonight we're just going to focus a quick little match reaction here now that we're back at Dynamo Podcast Network headquarters again. Overall feelings on the match before we get into some of the detail.
Yeah, not happy. I think just one of those games, like the Brentford game, we didn't get going in the second half. It was a tale of two halves, and I think the goal just before half time for them kind of just put a lot of wind in their sails, and just seemed to have no answer for them at time. And that's huge respect to Brighton, because I thought they were very good yesterday. There's some unbelievable players in that squad. It'd be amazing to see if they can continue this form where they finish this season and build on the squad they have, instead of losing the likes of Basuma and Lamptey and what's the little blondie guy? His name Trossard. He was outstanding yesterday.
Yeah, I think they had outstanding performers all over the pitch, especially in the second half. But I mean, on this podcast, as you know, and obviously when we do the upper tier shows as well, we always give the man Graham Potter huge respect. He's an absolute fantastic manager, no doubt about it, and a coach destined for a huge job in football, no doubt about it. And no disrespect to Brighton, he's doing a great job at Brighton, Let's get into the detail of it. I mean, we started out with our tails up with the press game and stuff like that. Very quickly put up a couple of goals. And then kind of, once we got those two goals up, we kind of backed off a bit. We looked a bit lethargic. We looked like we were just trying to sail through it. We started giving up possession to them cheaply. We were getting caught on the ball. We weren't playing our game. We stopped the press, giving them too much respect. And a number of players, especially you said, a number of players stuck out to you that just didn't show up yesterday and really haven't been showing up for Liverpool at times.
No. Start off with what you said about like the quick start, like going in, having watched the United game, watching our recent performances, basically Watford, Atletico Madrid and Man United, going in thinking that the confidence is going to be sky high and we're going to come out of blocks quick, and we did. We were going in saying I predicted 3-1, you said 4-0. I think scoring the early goal, it kind of set a precedent for the game, and we just grabbed it by the scruff of the neck, and then we get the second goal. After losing Naby to injury. Looks like it's his hamstring again, so we're down another midfielder. Last season was the defence, now it seems to be the midfield. Ox comes in, gets the assist, and you're thinking, right, we've got control of the game now. Put the foot on the throat, and just go for the kill. Everybody's laughing and joking, having the chats, and then there's a big roar. Mane is celebrating. I don't think anybody knew what was going on. Most of us didn't see it. Goal gets quickly disallowed, and then Brighton just got this confidence about them. They started playing a bit of ball, which was nice to watch. Even as a Liverpool fan, I like watching teams that play football. They don't sit deep. They don't, cling on for dear life in fear of what's coming. Brighton have a kind of their own character this season, and they showed it yesterday. They get the goal. I said I'll go and get the drinks and have a quick hit and miss, and I'm in the queue, and it's just an eerie silence. Brighton have got a goal, so I haven't seen the goal still to kind of comment on how that went. But 2-1 at half time, you're thinking, right, we come out second half, kind of get a hold of the game, and I honestly don't know what happened. It was like Jekyll and Hyde the second half. We looked a bit lost at times. I'm not one of these fans that won't criticise the big names just because they've carried us through the last 4 seasons. If someone's not carrying their weight, I'll point the finger at it, regardless of what other people's opinion of me will be. But I thought Andy Robertson wasn't himself yesterday, especially coming into the second half. Kunate looked a bit shaky at times as well. Even Virgil, we were caught out. I looked at the Trossard goal, the equaliser there, in the taxi home from the airport, and we were so disjointed at the back for the second goal. The lads were all over the shop. Henderson, gave what you typically expect from Jordan Henderson, a real captain's performance, dogged, doing the work. Curtis Jones, I don't want to heavily criticise the guy, but I don't think he was impressive at all yesterday. I thought he shirked out with challenges. He trying all these flicks and, just do it simple. They have a confidence behind them. They're really going at us to try and get the equaliser. Just get the game by the scruff of the neck. You've been in the team for a while now. You have got the experience. You still a bit to go. But games like yesterday at home, he should be showing up, Niall. Should be showing up.
Yeah, especially on the back of such a good win against United. You know what I mean? We should be going home, packed house at Anfield. And in fairness to the crowd, they were vocal for the first 20, 25 minutes, whatever it is. They kept with the team. The songs were being sang and all that kind of thing. But I just thought at times, and I said it even before we scored, that we were giving them way too much space and we were standing off them and we were allowing them to ghost into that sort of 20-yard area and stuff like that, and that eventually we would get punished. And that's really what happened. My other concern was Jordan as well. I know people were talking about Jordan, but he was supposed to be playing in that Fabinho role. So he was supposed to be the guy who was shadowing the back four. And I think at times that space between the midfield and the back four was too much. And that kind of Fabinho effect wasn't there. And it exposed them a little bit because Brighton were basically just cutting in from the right side and they were just putting balls into that area all the time for the boys to run onto. And it really exposed us at times. I think you're right about Robbo. I think Robbo could do with a bit of time. No disrespect him, but he could do with a bit of time maybe out of the team. He hasn't had a great start to the season at times. Tsimikas has looked decent when he came in. And Tsimikas, I think, also has a very good final ball into the box and stuff like that. So it'd be no harm to try it out and give him a little bit of space and a bit of time out of the team, And again, let us know your comments on that and stuff and what you think and stuff like that. But we're talking here, when we're criticizing these players, we're coming from a certain level here and a certain standard. We're not talking about sort of middle of the road here. We're talking, this is the standard and the expectation that we expect. This is where it's at the moment. It's not down near the bottom, Ratton. It's somewhere middle of the road, but it needs to be much better.
Just Niall, before we go on there, I just want to say about Jordan Henderson. I agree what you're saying. I did think he put in a shift out, but I'm not going to heavily criticise him because when we lost Naby, how badly Curtis was playing, and then Ox, I was heavily critical of Ox yesterday. Yeah. I wasn't shouting abuse at him. I was just saying what I've always been saying about him. He's pulling out with challenges. He's not going in full pelt. If something doesn't work for him, the head drops. You can see it in him. The head drops. At times his first touch is like a wall. When he, especially around their box, when he's on the attack and he runs into a dead end and he loses the ball, you can see his whole body language. He's on the fucking floor. And I just thought Jordan had to carry the two of our boys yesterday.
Yeah, no, I think you're right in terms of that, but I just think if that's your role is to protect the back four and shadow it, if you vacate that, you can't. I mean, the one thing you're taught at a very basic level in football is not to vacate your position. Always hold your position and your shape and stuff like that. And I know it's tough on Jordan saying that and stuff like that. And I know he got the goal and everything else. So it's hard to be that. But I mean, when you see the back four being exposed that way, it's very worrying, And even down the other side with Trent and stuff like that, Trent and Curtis down that side just weren't combining at all. And then you have Robbo on the other side with Ox just not combining at all. And we know our views on Alex Oxlade-Chamberlain. We know that he's a bench player and stuff like that. And he's just about at the level that's acceptable to come on, and that's when he's playing really well, but he holds onto the ball too long and he tries to do too much with it and gets caught in possession a lot of the time.
There was talk recently in the last couple of weeks that he's not happy and he's knocked on Jurgen's door and he said, I want game time. And then you're looking at performances yesterday. I feel like that when you're in the ground and you're watching the game and you're that close to it, you deserve to have, like, you can express yourself completely on the situation. It's not like you've only went home and you've watched Match of the Day and you've seen 2 or 3 clips, you know, where he's lost the
You're
ball.
saying it. You're saying it firsthand, right in front of you.
We like, yes, like I'm all in at the start. You know, I get invested in the game. I really get invested in the game. You know what I mean? And I don't know where you noticed at times yesterday, but the arms were folded and the hand was on the mouth. And you know what? I said it when they scored the equaliser. When Trossard wins the ball in the middle of the park, or just out on their left, just inside our box, or our half of the pitch, and he passes it into, I can't think of the guy's name, the black lad off Brighton. Trossard then makes a run, and I'm watching Trossard, and I'm looking at the 2 boys, Konate and Van Dijk, and I'm shouting, and you're shouting the same thing, saying, watch where he's going, and then before you know it, boom, it's in the net, and me and you looked at each other, and how lackadaisy was it? Like, no, we haven't got to the front three yet. We'll get to that. Mo was isolated. Bobby was really off yesterday, and Sadio, he was all over the place. You know what I mean? He was putting himself about. He got the goal. He was unlucky to have the goal disallowed. But I just thought, in the middle of the park and the defence, if fans can see you're in the game, you're full of adrenaline. You know, you're really tuned in. You've prepared all week for this. You know how they've been playing. You know, we're watching it and we're shouting at air lads. We could read exactly what was going to happen before it happened. You know what I mean? And you're starting to worry yourself then, thinking, like, why is everything so lackadaisy? Why are so many players switched off? You know, at home, like, you're a point off Chelsea. At the time, we were 2-1 up. Chelsea were 0-0. We were going top of the league and all. And then just like that, and it was one thing that I did like about yesterday was Jurgen coming out. He didn't throw anyone under the bus, but talking about how unhappy he was with the body language. He knows if he's vocal about that in public and not just behind doors where lads might just take it as he's singling me out. He came out publicly, let the fans know. So the fans are going to expect the reaction now. And there's no bigger game this season now than Atletico Madrid, because, as I said, whether we're playing Norwich, no disrespect to them, or we're playing Real Madrid or Barcelona or PSG, the next game is always your biggest game of the season. And the fact that this is at home now under the lights, and we talked about with the taxi driver this morning, the fans that go to the Brighton games, like yesterday, everyone was the flags were flying, the scarves were out, everybody was singing. And then after 25, 30 minutes, it's just that silence again. So, you know, on Wednesday night, the lights are on, it's Champions League, the music is going to be playing, everyone's going to be going ballistic. Luis Suarez is coming back to Anfield. Now you have a chance to redeem yourself, regardless of the injuries we have. Jordan is back in there. There's talk that Thiago might be fit. Does he go with Curtis Jones? I think he will, to try and redeem himself, because he's done it a couple of times already this season. But Tuesday now is a massive game. Whoever steps in there, especially the likes of Alex Oxlade-Chamberlain, we're missing players in the middle of the park. You have a massive opportunity. And if you're knocking your door saying, I'm not happy, I want game time, Jurgen's coming into training in the morning and saying, you didn't perform yesterday. I'm giving you a chance on Wednesday night. Redeem yourself, or you can knock on the door all you want. There's a window opening in January. If you're not happy, there's the door.
Yeah, I think
how many chances do you want, Luke?
Yeah, I think it's a massive week coming up. I mean, we've got Atletico in the Champions League. If we can beat them, then that's immense. We're basically qualified at that stage, and we've probably won the group. So we can afford to rest players then. But not only that, then, before the international break as well, we've got a very tough fixture away to West Ham to round out this round of games, if you like, before another international break. Talk to me about the boy Pazuma. I mean, he absolutely bossed the midfield yesterday, didn't he?
He embarrassed, and I was very vocal about that. Fans are looking at me like, who's this fucking guy? Every time Basuma was on the ball, he was strong. He's that presence about him. You know, he was really up for it yesterday. There's been a lot of talk about him going to Liverpool. He came in with, you know, shoulders out, you know, his head up, and was like, right, well, if there is interest there, I'm going to show him what I'm about. Like, what an advertisement to Jurgen Klopp yesterday. He was man of the match for me yesterday. He was absolutely outstanding. He bossed Curtis Jones. He played him like a toy. It was a case of not world class level, but he was really impressive yesterday, and he showed Curtis the level that he needs to be at. He was strong in the challenge. He was picking up second balls. He was good in the air. Created a lot of their attacks, breaking up the play going forward for Liverpool. He was man of the match for me.
Yeah. Absolutely. He was definitely up there as man of the match anyway. Um, Allison called into play all the time. A lot of the 2 to 3 at least, maybe 4 world-class saves on top of that and shipping 2 goals, but still unbelievable from Allison yesterday again, or it could have been a very big scoreline.
Yeah, all the plaudits go to King Mo this season, and rightly so. But if you're doing a top 2 or top 3 for player of the season so far, Alison Becker, I know, we're in a good position in the league, and with the last kind of 2 or 3 games, we started to concede a few more goals. But if you watch those games, it's not necessarily the games with the clean sheets, but if you look at the games where we've conceded goals, look at the number of world-class saves he's made and saved
Yeah.
us from. If we'd have walked out there, have lost 3 or 4-2 yesterday, you'd have had a few, issues with was there a handball and the shot into the opposite end, I think from about 25-30 yards, and we could see it from the cup, the elbow going up. But if we'd have left Anfield yesterday that haven't lost 3-2 or 4-2, I'd have put my hands up. For me, there was a lot of fans talking about it, saying that they could have easily won, and rightly so. But for Allison again, I thought he was outstanding yesterday. That's one thing everyone talks about is distribution. He's quite commanding. He's an unbelievable shot stopper. He proved it yesterday. There was one particular one, I think your man was about 2 yards out, 3 yards out, 1-on-1, and hit it first time, and Allison just spread himself across the goal and kept it out. So yeah, how relieving is it to have, when the ball comes through the back four, we've seen it time and time again this season. You're kind of expecting him to make the save.
Yeah. And I think if we're that lackluster again and we're standing off teams, he'll be making a lot more saves, or have to anyway. So I think we need to look at our closing down game a little bit better than to, giving these teams more space and stuff like that. What you're making on Bobby's form at the moment? He was poor yesterday, got caught in possession a good few times, was constantly looking for the foul, was on the ref's case and stuff like that. But he was poor, wasn't he?
Yeah, he was really lackluster. He just didn't get into the game at all. Very lethargic. It's funny. He scored a hat-trick against Watford, but didn't necessarily have a good game. We beat Man United 5-0, so whether you came on for a minute or you played 90 minutes and you could have had a bad game, but everybody got the rave reviews because we beat Man United 5-0 at Old Trafford. But I just thought yesterday the spotlight was on him again. Didn't turn up whatsoever. There was a lot of puffing and hawing about him on the cup yesterday. It seems to be a case of it's always Bobby or Jota that's coming out of the team when the rotation is happening. I know Mane was dropped last week, but for me, he's probably lucky that we've an international break coming up, because I could possibly see him getting dropped for 2 or 3 games, depending on injuries. But let's see a run of games with Jota, Mane, and Mo. Let's see 3 or 4 or 5 games now and see what the boys can come up with. Bobby's my favourite player, but again, it doesn't matter who you are, I'll criticise you if you're not performing, and he just hasn't been performing. He hasn't been at the races at all this season. Kind of the stats he has this season are kind of deceiving if you really want to be honest about it. But yeah, he's probably lucky that an international break coming up, but I can't see him starting next week. I think it'll be the 3 lads, possibly on Wednesday and then next Sunday.
Yeah. Let's round out the reaction with the gaffer. I mean, he doesn't get off scot-free either this time, does he? I thought the timing of the substitutions, I thought giving the players the time to come in and put a stamp on the game. We were calling from substitutions from around the 55th minute, 60th minute. We were looking for lads to come on, and he was so hesitant to make changes. What did you make of that yesterday?
I understand he rewarded Konate with the start after his performance last week. I thought Konate really showed up last week against United, so I can understand him putting him in yesterday. But I think that performance has led me to believe that he could be a Champions League guy, or you know what I mean, or the kind of the less said teams in the league, and that's given Brighton massive credit because they deserve to be where they are in the league this season, and based on performances. Graham Potter is doing an absolutely fantastic job. But there's been a few times where Klopp's decision has been questionable. I thought we could have done with Joel Matip's calmness and steel at the back yesterday. So strange to see him not getting a game. Ty was very slow to react with the Jota and Minamino substitutions. I looked over at the bench and there was 3 minutes to go and I seen Minamino getting stripped and I was like, what is the point of this? Like, he's going to take a couple of minutes to get into the game. By the time he gets into the game is over. It's like, the lads aren't performing up top. Stick him in now. Get him in now, or maybe even Divock. I know we've been critical of Alex Oxlade-Chamberlain, but I just thought that Blair Morton could have been brought in for instead of Ox. You know, I thought he was the best player on the pitch the other night against Preston. Playing at Anfield for your home team. What a moment. There you go, lads. You don't know Curtis Jones. You don't know with Trent. You don't know with a lot of young lads. And I just thought that was the time to throw him in. You know, put him in there. His confidence is through the roof. His whole family are there. You know what I mean? Just throw him in there and see what he can do. So, look, we have to kind of move on, like the Brentford game, get that performance out of the way. Massive week coming up. Kind of don't really have a choice with selection in the middle of the park now, unless Thiago is fit on Wednesday night. But there's lads who deserve to be out of the team that are going to be still in the team because we don't have anybody else. So you have to redeem yourself. It's as simple as that. And I'm sure the manager will put the arm around certain lads and say, look, it's not, he won't be overly critical of them. He'll sit them down and he'll be like, look, that performance level is not where we need you to be with the situation that we're in. You have to be at 100%. You can't be switched off, not even for a second. So massive week coming up, two must-win games, because you get the Atletico win, you're through basically topping the group. You have 2 games to spare. You can give lads that experience, you know, get the likes of Minamino, get the likes of Origi, a bit of game time. And then West Ham away next week before the international break. A must-win game after dropping points yesterday. So onwards and upwards, I hope.
Yeah, absolutely. Well, this has been the Shankly Sessions, your Liverpool versus Brighton match reaction from the upper tier on the Dynamo Podcast Network on YouTube, Spotify for audio versions of the show. It is a draw. It felt like a defeat, but it could have been a defeat. But look, we're still undefeated. We're still within 3 points of Chelsea. We're still going well. City dropped points yesterday and all. So we won't get too disheartened at the moment. We'll push on. We'll come back again strong, and we'll expect a big week from the boys. So till next time, Dino, come on, you red men. Let's do this.
Adios, amigo.